so short. So I recently learned from my friend Warren that when you read someone else's poem, it's called a cover. Like you might cover a song. So tonight, I actually want to cover Warren. Aww. For one, it is the 1-year anniversary of open source, according to Radiator Press. So that's Warren's first book. And I know he's promoting BirdDiz right now, but open source is really, really, really good. And I want to read, I read this whole book, but there is this one poem that just, it really hit me when I read it. And so I'm going to try to find it. And I bet Warren knows what it is. And I should have had the page marked, but I didn't, so I apologize for that. I know it's the start of, yeah, there's the page. Give me 1 second. This poem's called A Strange Place for Snow by Warren Longmire. A strange place for snow. When joy reminds you of it, and sun does, and Sundays, and breakfast suggests it, you make the best eggs you've made in a month, and they are buttered and sunburnt bottom and firm, full of time and intent. There is no hot sauce, and there is no salt, no onions, just heat, a patient spatula, and a wish, and you lift that tender cloud of warmth to your lips, and it smells good, and it tastes amazing, and you realize that this is something you learned from her. How to make love an ingredient. What it means to ache loss, physically. The day a tweak in your intestines becomes a symptom of the absence of a look. When passion became a concrete noun, a tone of voice. The particular conditioning of that stranger's hair is breathable to you now, and you bleed a little when you see it pass. When life becomes so free, you could use it as a vacuum, and you could fractal beer choices and bar atmospheres for months. When drunk reminds you of it, and sober suggests it, or its absence, and drinking one more was her. And the dark is when the dark comes, and the thoughts exist more than the room, and whisk those thoughts, finally, into a text messaging area of your phone, but at the last second, you stop. And it stings, but you say, fuck it, and you go out for a walk. When you're walking, but your gait drags, you feel pity, but it's an old pity. It feels tight in the shoulders, and so you sit. When you're sitting, but the longing feels quaint, so you were like, fuck it, I'm gonna put on my most ridiculous hat. And you smoke until your right lung is a raisin. You eat a sandwich bigger than your face. You say something to a stranger that should have gotten you smacked. I don't know what you do. I don't know what is done. I just know it happened, and it's done now, over and over again until it's moot. When you're quiet, live selfishly now. Feel onto a canvas, sometime even nonsense slightly. You outgrew the inside jokes and meditate, and you get a taste of occasionally of something close, but when even the movement reminds you you've moved. Reminds you that movement means ground, and that ground is required to fly. That otherwise everything is just space. What do you do? This one's mine. A year ago, about to the date, I moved away from a place that was very meaningful to me. This poem's called Going, Going, Gone. I remember the boxes stacked on the luggage cart so carefully, like laid bricks. My 8 California years on a 5x5 pallet. I watched my ex-husband's big shoulders while he pushed it. There was no next step, only the going. Then hours of asphalt with everything getting smaller. Suddenly there was none of you after so much of you, and sometimes nothing but you, and still it wasn't enough. On the island we were children, sneaking into paradise on tiptoe. We were the moment. Cut scene to 3rd floor blue carpet labyrinth. In February cold, stiff slacks, and so much coffee. The bewilderment of quiet, the freedom of space, a longing so deep I could have descended into it and been climbing still. A doorway that I built for myself and then didn't want to walk through. With summer, an explosion of heat and leaves and learning, already we were distant. I let go of the promise of you and took hold of the promise of myself. The days were kind to me and I was kind back. In the light of the fire, you were suddenly and again the boy in the garage, the wandering philosopher, the flower carrier. At the lake, I watched the stars do-si-do on purple tie-dye sky, and I wanted to be with them. I wrapped myself in the breeze and tried to float. Your voice was a siren call. I knew the path. A year ago, there were violins and friendly faces and touchable people. There was warmth and the feeling of climax, the feeling of the most love in one place maybe ever. There is no true loss, only the finding. I live here in what is mine, in what is hard, and what is okay. I live in the delight of the now and the gratitude for the then. The future and I sit on opposite sides of the bar, casting flirty, furtive glances. Thank you.